Hi, Peter. How's it going?
Hi, Donna. How are you?
Not too bad. You were speaking to Virgin Media Sport earlier about your corner situation. Could you enlighten us about what exactly is happening? Of course, these travel restrictions have stopped John Kavanagh coming over. Could you tell us who's going to be in your corner on Friday night?
Yeah, so travel restrictions, as you said, have kind of scuppered my corner plans a bit. John is not dead in the water yet, but it's unlikely, I would say, he's coming over. Assayel Ajoud was supposed to come from Paris, and again, travel restrictions have stopped him. But I always have backup, Donna. So I've got James Gallagher flew in from California yesterday. So he's here for me now. So James will be cornering me 100%.
Of course, we saw Pedro Carvalho had pretty similar issues when he fought last time out. What do you think this is? How do you think this is going to affect you going into this one? Because this is undoubtedly the biggest fight of your career, where there's so much on the line against an opponent the likes of which you really haven't been in there with before. So has it been a distraction, or are you laser focused at this point on getting Patricky Pitbull out of there early?
Yeah, it's not going to affect me. I have James there. James is one of my best friends with a long time. That's really what you want when you go into a fight. You want when your friends with you. It's like when you were a kid and you were going for a fight in the playground. As I said to Virgin Media Sport, you want your friends to show up with you. They can't really help you, but you want them to walk out with you and be there for you. And I'll have that. So I'm fine. I'll be fine in that fight. It's not really going to affect me at all, Donna.
Thank you very much, Peter, for that. One more from me, if I could, about this rivalry, Pitbulls versus SBG. You're finally getting to have this fight. There's been the one before with like I said, Pedro against Patricio. How do you feel now about Patricky Pitbull? It's been so long since that famous press conference in New York where you faced off. You were supposed to fight around October last year. It's such a different circumstance now. There won't be any fans. It was supposed to be a packed arena. How do you feel now about your opponent, Patricky Pitbull?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like you said, it's been a long time. I think when I see him now at the weigh-in, I might spark it all again, maybe. So we'll see how that goes. But like you forget all that kind of thing that happened in New York. It's been so long. So, but really, what I'm focused on is not even this rivalry thing anymore, and our personal differences or whatever is there with us. It's the implications of a win here is what I'm focused on. That has taken over for me. Like if I beat him, I'm fighting his brother, and it'll be for the belt. That's just a fact. That's how it's going to go. So this is the biggest fight of my career. It has the biggest implications of any fight that I've ever had in my career. So that's what I'm laser focused on.
Dylan?
Hey there, Peter. Appreciate you making some time.
Thanks. No problem.
I was just kind of curious because just based off what you were saying there, it doesn't seem like the team feud dynamic is as much of a factor leading into this one, because I spoke to Patricky before this fight, and it was seeming like the team versus team dynamic was something that he was maybe hoping Bellator would focus on more as kind of like a juicy storyline component almost. Does it factor at all into the prep for this fight at all for you?
No, it does. It does factor in. It is important, but what I was saying is the reward for beating him has kind of become bigger than that for me. But it's probably because of that feud that I'm going to get that reward, if you get what I mean. Because if I beat him, of course his brother has to avenge that now. It'll be 1-1 between SBG and Pitbull team. And it'll be up to me and Patricio to settle that score then. But it'll be for the belt. It'll be a big fight for my career. So it is very important, the team dynamic thing that's been going on. And well done to them. It's first blood to them. They beat Pedro. My hat's off to them. They were very classy in their response after that win as well. So fair play to them with that. They could have really rubbed it in there, but they didn't. So, I'm just looking forward to getting in there with Patricky now and having this fight. I feel like I've been preparing for this fight for my whole career almost at this stage. It's been coming so long.
Awesome. Thanks for the time, man.
No problem.
All right, Gareth.
Good evening, Peter. Gareth ED Davis from London. How are you?
What's up, Gareth? Good to hear from you.
You too. You're looking fine, fettle, I must say. Tough as ever. I've got to ask you, because traditionally, I think there were some scraps between the Pitbull brothers and opponents, and not even their opponents, in some hotels in days gone by, or in times gone by. You're in a very small bubble there in Mohegan Sun. Have you been snarling at each other in the corridors yet or not?
I haven't come across him, believe it or not. Any of them. About 30 minutes ago, I actually bumped into their coach in the hallway. And I called him coach. I fist pumped him because that's what you do to a coach. You respect their coach. That's it. So there's nothing there with him and me anyway. So, but I haven't come across Patricky or Patricio yet. So we'll see when we do meet each other tomorrow, maybe.
You entered into the legends of fans and the legends of MMA annals in Bellator when you came back after being down against Ryan Scope your last time out in November or September 2019 against Ryan Scope for an amazing victory. And I was there when you were getting mobbed by the fans as you were leaving afterwards. You couldn't get away, if you recall.
I remember.
Yeah, it was a brilliant night.
Yeah.
Everybody knows how resilient you are. Two things, really. What does it mean to you to be able to fly up the rankings from nowhere to number 2? I cannot understand why you're not in the top 10 rankings. Personally, I think it's a disgrace. I'd like your opinion on that. And secondly, do you have, having gone through that fight with Ryan Scope, do you have the game plan to beat this guy because you've been into deeper waters than perhaps he's ever been?
Yeah, to answer your first question, I do agree with you. It's a disgrace I'm not in the rankings. The only logical thing I can think of is that my last fight was actually switched to a 170-pound fight at the last second on a request of Ryan Scope. So perhaps they're just, I don't know, maybe they said I didn't fight at 155 for my last fight, but it was a 155 fight. We were both on the weight and it just got changed last second. So listen, what matters is what the Bellator brass think, and they think I'm in the rankings because I'm fighting the number 2 guy. Why would you have a guy who's not in the rankings fighting the number 2 guy? So that says it all. To answer your question with the deep waters, yeah, of course. That's how I think this fight is going to be decided. To be honest, Gareth, is who can take more. I think that's what this is going to boil down to. I plan to get in front of him and bite down on my mouthpiece and go at him. And I know he's going to do the same thing because that's what he always does as well. So I think it's going to be a case of who can take what the other guy can dish out and who can last longer. And that's exactly how I want this fight to go, and that's exactly how I think it will go.
Well, good luck in getting the W and then calling out for the belt, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Gareth.
Cheers.
Kachi?
Hi there, Peter. I just wanted to quickly ask you, if I'm not mistaken, this is your first fight in the US, right? You haven't fought in the US? Yes. And this is also your first fight since the pandemic started, right?
Correct.
Yep. So does that factor in? Like, how are you feeling going into that? Because obviously it's very, very different from a huge Dublin crowd, where you have a lot of fans who love you and can celebrate your win. Like, how does it feel going into this fight with all of these, I'd say like little pressure, a bit of pressure going into this fight, right? Especially against a guy like Pitbull.
Yeah, it's kind of like I'm venturing into the unknown a little bit, because what I'm used to, as you know, is 10, 12,000 people screaming zombie, and it's just a mad scene when I fight normally. So that's what I've been used to. Whereas this time it's going to be in an empty arena, and Kiefer was actually telling me about it. He said, be prepared for that. You'll hear Big John talking and all, and just, he said it was just weird when he did it. So I'm expecting that, and I'll be ready for that. You just have to deal with these things and get on with it. It'll be new for Patricky as well. So it'll be new for the pair of us. So I'm expecting it to be kind of strange and a new feeling, but whatever, I'll get on with it and I'll adapt and I'll overcome it.
Thank you, Peter. Good luck in your fight.
Thank you.
All right, Andy.
Hiya, Peter. Andy Hickey with Guts and Glory here. Neighbour yours down in Tipperary. Just wanted to ask you, you've been one of the biggest beneficiaries of Bellator's concerted efforts in the European market. And recently we've seen a spate of Irish-based fighters released, a lot of your SBG stablemates. And what's the general feeling within SBG to what could be the end of the Euro series? I know it's been hugely received by the fans and fighters over here. So how do you guys feel about it?
Honestly, I don't know anything about it. I haven't spoken to anyone about the end of the Euro series. That's nothing I've heard about that. So it's probably not a great answer for you, but I just don't know enough about that to go commenting on it now. I'm not sure what Bellator's plans are for the Euro series. I think when COVID is done and dusted, they'll probably reassess that. It's a great market for them. You see the Irish show, there's nothing like it on earth. I doubt they'll drop that. That wouldn't make any sense. So I expect them to be back in Dublin, hopefully this year or early next year.
hopefully with you headlining against Patricio for the lightweight title. But you alluded there, this is your first fight in America. You're no stranger to hostile territory with your time in FNG. Regarding the Irish crowd, how did that make you feel? You were so passionately supported by us over there. Even you fought fellow Irishman Miles Price, and it was quite clear that we were vehemently in support of you, and your walkout has gained legendary status. It must be a nice feeling to be so welcomed by your own people.
It's the biggest accomplishment you can have as a fighter, almost in my opinion, is that where your country is behind you and loves you. It doesn't happen to many. When you really look closely at people's fights and their careers, and if they really garner support and capture people's imagination back home. So I feel very privileged to be one of a very few people in Ireland that has done that. You could count them on one hand. It's less than one hand how many people have done that. So it's just really important to me. That's always what I wanted, was to fight in a way that people really enjoy. This is what I say to myself every time I fight, and it'll be no different to this. I'm almost not even focused on winning or losing here. I focus on just the fight being crazy and for people watching to just be after it's over. And normally when I do that, I fight very well. So that's what I focus on, and that's where I think the fans have kind of gravitated towards me, and they cheer for me and respect me.
We'll take a couple more. Lenny?
How's it going, Peter Queally? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so Lenny Marsh from Miami News here, and Emmy Unhinged. I just want to ask you a similar question that you received early on. I wanted to ask, are we still going to hear that infamous zombie by the Cranberries? Are you still going to walk out by that?
Of course, it'll be a bit eerie and quiet, but you'll hear it.
Hey, maybe when you're coming down the walk, you'll be singing the zombies instead of the crowd.
I doubt it, but it's going to be, I think it's going to be still pretty cool, because it's a kind of an eerie song. And I think the quiet arena, it'll be quite cool as well. So I'll be 100%. I've used this song all my career. So yeah, I won't be changing it now just because there's no crowd.
Yeah, I just want to top up as well with the first fight being in COVID, first fight you've ever had since the whole situation of the pandemic. What's it been like, being, in that, that quarantine backstage waiting for a fight? And is it been weird?
What's the question again? Sorry.
So this is the first time you fought during the COVID and the whole pandemic. What's it been like, being quarantined in the backstage, in the whole bubble, should I call it? What's it been like that in this situation?
Yeah, it's boring. But whatever, you just have to get on with it. It's been boring. The first day I got here, I was in my room for about 30 hours waiting for the COVID test to come back. And then once that came back, it didn't get much better. I'm allowed out of the room now, but just within the grounds of the hotel. So it's kind of boring, but it's just the way it has to be. So you just get on with it. But it's whatever. It is what it is.
All right, Kobe.
Hey, Peter, this is Kobe with FightFreaks.co. I was wondering, so this was originally booked for October of last year, and I'm wondering how your preparation was affected, because you stated earlier that it feels like you've been getting ready for this forever, and I mean, you kind of have. So do you reset your peak, or do you just work straight through?
I was forced to reset in August last year, and I badly broke my hand. So that kind of forced me, obviously, to take the foot off the pedal. But I did train throughout the first lockdown in the early part of 2020. And it was all in preparation for Patricky. But then I broke my hand. I had about 2-3 months where I couldn't really train. And then I got back on the horse again. So it kind of served as a natural break, which I probably needed. If I was being honest, that you can't train at that intensity for that long and expect good things to happen. So even though it wasn't a good thing, I wish it didn't happen. It probably served as a kind of a natural break in my training that I can kind of re-peak, as you said, and be ready for this fight.
Last one, Harry.
Hey, Peter, Harry Mack from the Bookies Basement. So I just wanted to know, you're a slight betting underdog at plus 210 going into this fight. So I just wanted to know, do you feel like the odds makers are underestimating you at all?
I think it's a 50-50. That's what I think. But I understand why they have me as an underdog. Patricky has beaten some really good fighters. He has more fights than me. He's slightly more experienced than me. So it's completely understandable. I'm not offended or anything that they have him as the favorite. But I think if I was putting odds on it myself, it's a 50-50. I think it's going to be an extremely tough fight for both of us. That's my honest opinion on this. I know I can beat him, but I'll need to fight very well to beat him.
Thanks, Peter. Appreciate the time. Good luck on Friday.